Deborah's in the trees. Richelieu is one of Deborah's family names. When we started dating, she insisted that if France were still a monarchy and the right people died in the right succession, she might be an heir to the throne. Since she was so credible, and my knowledge of European history so limited, I was inclined to believe her. After all, even I knew that Richelieu was French. Deborah also had some Cherokee in her background. I tried for years to produce a movie based on William Forrest's book Trail of Tears, about the removal of Cherokee from their lands in Georgia, about their Scots Indian chief John Ross, and the first editor of a Native American newspaper, Elias Boudinot. It's another, perhaps somewhat obscure reason I fell close to my wife. Deborah's Aunt Jerry died at the age of 93. Her last few years were spent asleep in a chair, with round-the-clock attendance I was surprised she could afford. Jerry worked for the phone company before her marriage to Myron Moyle, a Modesto attorney. When she was in her mid-40s, she'd had to wait for Myron's mother to die. They were childless, and they must have been quite frugal and sound investors, because Jerry, who'd been widowed for some time, left a sizable estate to her sisters, nieces, and nephews, although much of it was depleted by lawyers and a conservator. I know Deborah will want to write fully about Jerry herself in her own book. They were very close, and as a child, Deborah sought comfort and guidance from her. But it was when Deborah became an adult that Jerry began to make a truly lasting impression, because of her devotion to genealogy. It was a lifelong commitment that gave Jerry much pleasure. Over the years, she passed the family history on, piecemeal, to Deborah, the one person most interested and prepared through temperament and ability to explore, expand, and preserve it. It's become much more than a hobby. It's an enriching commitment. To appreciate that, you have to understand that because of Deborah's limited and failing eyesight, she uses a variety of high-tech, low-vision equipment, which magnifies things, adjusts contrast and color, and even reads to her. The first time I heard the strange male voice from another room, I thought she might be entertaining another suitor. Yes, I'm still a suitor, struggling as best I can to win her acceptance and approval after all these years. And only if you understand how old and worn Jerry's books and papers are, how ill-assorted, creased and yellowed, how faint and illegible the tiny penciled notations, can you fully appreciate Deborah's involvement and dedication. The old worn books are the least of it. There are boxes and boxes of loose pages, scraps of paper, Civil War-era letters, disconnected names, places, and dates. Gradually, they've all begun to take on shape and meaning for Deborah, adding time, space, and dimension to her understanding of her origins. She's traced them back to the late 1400s, with some much earlier. And from diaries and letters, the internet, and a few oral accounts, she's traced my family back to 1700s. Abram de Villeneuve, my 10th great-grandfather, more or less. A remarkable accomplishment, considering the limited written records and my East European background. I admit that I have not always been patient with Deborah's exploration of our family trees. Even my father, born in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, a first-generation American with first-hand stories from his childhood, bristled at too many questions, particularly as he grew older and more impatient. And it seems that whenever I finally get the garage cleaned out again and actually see empty floor space, a new batch of research material appears from nowhere, out of some familial Pandora's box. Deborah has become a national treasure, an invaluable and trusted source of information about both our families, a clearinghouse of the trivial, the mundane, and the significant. I can't help rejoicing with her when she makes a new connection. When we came to L.A. in the mid-50s and lived with my folks and Roy in Beverly Hills, the first celebrity we saw was Eva Marie Saint, walking arm in arm with her husband, director Jeff Hayden, on Rodeo Drive. Coincidentally, I worked with Jeff later on several occasions when he directed TV shows that I was producing, and a couple of times when we wrote together. The four of us became friendly. We've remained so for more than 40 years, and we always get a kick out of the Rodeo Drive anecdote. We once reminded Eva that she was carrying a lamp when we first saw her, and she recalled that they just picked it up from a repair shop. Recently, Deborah made another family tree connection when she discovered that my good and dear friend Jeff Hayden is actually a distant cousin. That means Eva Marie is our distant cousin by marriage. She says they still have the lamp.